Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome back to my podcast for those of you who are listening to this episode in audio only format. If you're on YouTube and you want to listen to your June horoscope whilst you're driving, whilst you're working out, you can also find Written in the Stars by Rux, the podcast now, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So today we are going to be diving into your June horoscopes, folks. What a month May has been, and what a month June will be, because yes, we are still in eclipse season. I mean, when I'm filming this, when I'm recording this, eclipse season hasn't yet started, but hey, I have a feeling that it is an eventful one, as eclipses usually are. Before we start talking about the astrology of June, let me mention a few very, very important things. First and foremost, I'm a Western tropical astrologer. All videos, all episodes on my channel follow Western tropical astrology. Secondly, I use the whole sign house system. Why? Because I have found it to be the most accurate in my experience and in my clients' experience, especially when we talk about timings. And also because, in short, it's harder to go wrong with whole sign if you don't have an exact to the very dot time of birth. Thirdly, if you want to work with me, you can find me on writteninthestars-astrology.com, which is my website for readings, consultations. You can go into the services section on my website. Again, writteninthestars-astrology.com, and you can have your pick in terms of the reading that is right for you. There are two big options. Live video call consultation or audio recorded only reading, when you can send me your questions beforehand and I will tackle them in the audio recorded reading. And generally the waiting time is roughly around 6 weeks. Probably now it's up to 8-9 weeks in advance. Well, because this is a very busy year, so what can you do? Now, folks, what does June look like in general? Let us take a quick look at the major astrological transits and ingresses for June, and then we can go into the update for each zodiac sign. So we have a solar eclipse. Yes, on the 10th of June in Gemini at 19 degrees, 46 minutes of Gemini. We also have a full moon, obviously, this month. On the 24th of June, a full moon in Capricorn at 3 degrees, 27 minutes of Capricorn. What else is going on in June? Well, we still have Mercury retrograde until the 22nd of June. So pretty much for, well, the first 3 weeks of June, Mercury is continuing its retrograde movement. On the 2nd of June, Venus moves into Cancer. And on the 27th of June, Venus goes into Leo. So Venus is actually whizzing through Cancer this month. On the 21st of June, the Sun enters Cancer. Up until that point, the Sun is still in the sign of Gemini. The key aspects that the Sun makes throughout the month are a trine to Saturn on the 3rd of June, which I'm actually really looking forward to. That's because it's a very stabilizing energy. It's good news, and it seems to be long-term news connected to Gemini matters, Gemini topics. So very likely learning, studying, socialization, communications, etc. On the 13th of June, the Sun is going to be squaring Neptune. So this time it does look like we are getting possibly some sort of, disappointing news connected to Gemini topics. On the 23rd of June, after the Sun enters into the sign of Cancer, we have a trine aspect with Jupiter in Pisces. So I have to say this to me has a very soothing tone to it. A very kind of like homey, cuddly, cozy, protective tone to it. The trine on the 23rd of June. Then additional key events to keep in mind for the month of June are going to be the following. On the 11th of June, finally, Finally, people, Mars is getting out of Cancer. Yes. Why do I say finally? Well, for those of you who have Cancer placements in your chart, especially personal planets or the ascendant placed in the sign of Cancer, having Mars go through that part of your chart may not have necessarily been very, very pleasant. I'm a Cancer rising, and I've got to say, I did have some migraines with Mars here. I actually lost a few things with Mars in my first house. So can't say it's been fun. I'm glad to see Mars getting out of my first house. But since Mars is going into Leo, oh boy, brace yourselves. We are going to have, especially next month, we are going to have some interesting aspects to Saturn and to Uranus in Taurus. So the fixity of this energy has long-lasting conflict written all over it, if you ask me. Now, Jupiter is going to be moving direct until the 20th of June in Pisces, and from the 20th of June, it's going to go retrograde. And if I'm not mistaken, Jupiter is going to be moving in retrograde up until the 18th of October. So yeah, prepare yourselves for Jupiter to retrace its glamorous, glitzy, generous, bountiful steps for the next few months. And last but not least, how can I forget? Well, I didn't forget. I was getting to it. On the 14th of June, we have the second exact square between Saturn and Uranus this year. The entire year of 2021 is, let's say, influenced by the squares between Saturn and Uranus. I did talk about them in the astrology of 2021, most important events of 2021 in the video on my channel. So if you want to jump to that one to see what the, let's say, overall symbolism of this aspect is, what I can tell you is status quo meets revolution, status quo meets innovation. In a nutshell, that seems to be happening around the 14th of June. And regulation and the law meets innovation and progress, trying to kind of like narrow it down, restrict it, control it. And last but not least, on the 25th of June, Neptune also goes retrograde for a very long time. Well, one thing to keep in mind is that slow-moving planets actually are retrograde for almost half of the year, so it's not something that is generally felt at a very, very strong level individually, unless when it comes to timing techniques, let's say you are in a perfected year governed by Jupiter or by Saturn, for instance, and of course, if you are in that type of year, then the retrograde of that planet actually becomes more important for you on a personal, individual level. So this is the astrology of June overall. Whew. Let us dive into the updates for each sign. By the way, as a good internet mom, I'm going to remind you once again, as a nagging mom, to also listen to the update for your rising sign if you know what your rising sign is. So it's okay to listen to the update for your sun sign, but you may find that you resonate more with the rising sign because the rising sign is literally the place where your chart begins. It is how you entered into the world, my dears. So the one, the only, Aries, what can you expect from June 2021? A lot. The answer is a lot, like everyone else. First and foremost, Jupiter is going to continue to be in your 12th house in Pisces throughout the entire month of June. So I gotta say, it's still a really good time, an absolutely fabulous, fabulous time. If you want to take a break, if you want to go on holiday, if you want to go on a retreat, if you want to save some time to rest, to look inwards, to meditate, to reconnect with your higher self, Jupiter actually makes all of these types of activities very, very pleasant. Now, from the 2nd of June until the 27th, Venus is going to be moving into Cancer in your 4th house of home, family, roots, the past. So you may be feeling inclined throughout this period to spend money, because Venus rules your 2nd house of income, on matters connected to the home. You may feel inclined to buy beautiful pieces for the home. You may also feel like your home is actually the place that you want to be in, surrounded by family throughout this period. Spending time with family is actually likely to be a lot more pleasant when Venus is going through this part of your chart. From the 2nd until the 4th of June, Venus in Cancer in your 4th house of home is going to be trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 12th house. So these few days, if you can, I would literally rest at home, maybe do some time possibly like redecorating the home, create your sanctuary, your temple at home. And if you can, save some time to spend with family members as well, especially a parent. You'd probably enjoy it tremendously. Now, between the 1st and the 8th of June. Okay, this is interesting. Mars in Cancer in your 4th house of home is going to oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house of career. So what is happening here? It looks like you probably are going to feel the need to retreat from public life, to retreat from the world, to retreat from your career related, let's call them endeavors, and take care of matters around the house. Maybe travel to be with a parent, maybe help a parent in some shape or form, spend some time with them. On the other hand, it can feel like your boss or someone in a position of authority is really, really breathing down your neck. And there could be a little bit of tension here, because on the one hand, there is something telling you that you need to be at home. You need to be with family around this time. And on the other hand, you might be a little bit worried and think, okay, what is my boss going to say? There could also be, and I do want to put it out there, there could also be some ego clashes with a figure of authority, with a manager, with a boss throughout this time frame. There may also be some issues that you need to take care of from a bureaucratic level connected to your home and residence. And I gotta tell you, I really want people to be prepared in general, so I will say it. Something might actually blow up in the house. It could be some sort of pipe. It could be something connected to how the water comes into your home. Maybe something like the faucet or one of the faucets kind of like breaks. So you could experience some sort of challenges of that nature. I want you to be prepared. Now, on the 10th of June, and I would also look at the week before, the week after. On the 10th of June, we have a solar eclipse, Aries, in Gemini, in your 3rd house of communication, of the objective mind, of short distance travel, of siblings. It is squaring Neptune and Pisces in your 12th house, but it is trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 11th house of long-term plans. So the first thing that I would do is I would look back at the eclipse, at the lunar eclipse on the 26th of May, when something ended in your 3rd house, 9th house axis. Maybe you heard news connected to travels. Maybe you heard news connected to your education. And it looks like now you are getting ready to kick off an entire new chapter when it comes to developing a skill that you can apply on a day-to-day basis. So you could be enrolling in a course. You could be starting an entire new chapter when it comes to how you move about, my dear Aries. So you could be buying a new car, for instance, at this time. There is also a possibility that if you have siblings, you may hear news connected to your siblings that also affects, in a positive way, your plans for the future. Now, if you are starting any sort of promotion campaign, any sort of advertising campaign around this time, I gotta tell you, it looks like this is likely to have long-lasting effects upon your business. If, for instance, you are working for yourself, you may join a new community around this time, and it does seem to be a community that is helping you define your long-term career plans, my dear Aries. This could also be a time when you travel locally to catch up with friends, to reconnect with friends, and it may feel like exactly what you needed at this time, the support of a group of people who knows what you're going through, who understands where you're coming from, and who can help you continue to climb career-wise, Aries. Now, from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars is finally getting out of Cancer in your 4th house, where I gotta say, you didn't really like it because Cancer actually squares you, so it may have given you some work to do around the house. When Mars goes into Leo in your 5th house until the 29th of July, this is open season for entertainment, for fun, for romance, for excitement, for outdoors adventure. I gotta tell you, you seem to start off the Mars in Leo season probably with some big fat parties. It's also a fantastic period to go out on outdoors adventures, to play games with friends, to engage in athletic activities and engage in competitive athletic activities because you are probably going to get a kick out of them. Now, on the 14th of June, we have the second exact square of the year between Saturn and Aquarius in your 11th house of friends and long-term plans, and Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house of income. Okay, Aries, so you're probably going to feel this transit throughout the entire month. Essentially, you seem to have a plan for the future, or you had a plan for the future. You have a long-term plan, you have a long-term goal, and something's not yet coming together in terms of finances. Something is not yet there. Maybe you have to rethink your plan. Maybe you have to scale back a little bit. Maybe you have to pay more than you thought you had in order to pursue this plan. It is something that is at the back of your mind throughout the entire year, Aries, so I would say it's not necessarily something that is new to you, but at the same time, it doesn't make it less annoying. Let's put it out there. Now, I also want to flag, though, that between the 11th and the 14th of June, Venus in Cancer in your 4th house of home is going to be sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house. So if you need help financially, you could get it from a family member. Or, let's say, any sort of financial... any sort of expenses, any sort of buys that you make for the home are likely to be a source of great joy. Or any sort of money that you use to help family members. Again, it seems to bring you a great deal of joy at this time. Now, from the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer into your 4th house. So it illuminates this sector of your life. And between the 21st and the 25th, the sun in Cancer is going to be trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 12th house, my dear Aries. Something that you did for a family member seems to be paying off, and it's making you feel really good, and it's making you feel proud of yourself. How? You're proud of the good deed that you have done at this time in a way. Now, from the 22nd of June, Mercury goes direct finally in Gemini in your 3rd house, so you can take a breather. You can give thanks to Mercury because now it looks like lost in translation is not going to be an issue for you any longer. And if you have had issues connected to transportation, connected to classes, connected to courses, connected to writing, connected to sales, it looks like slowly but surely they are going to fade out as the month progresses. Now, on the 24th of June, we have a full moon in Capricorn in your 10th house of career. It is in a very nice aspect with Jupiter and Pisces in your 12th house. Okay, so this is when you seem to be receiving recognition career-wise, my dear Aries. It also seems to be a moment in time around the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. It seems to be a moment in time when you are completing a career chapter in some shape or form. Your work here is done. You are ready to move on to a new professional chapter. You're proud of yourself, and you actually, I gotta say, seem to be receiving some sort of benefit that you may not have expected. So it could be a benefit that may not necessarily be of a material nature, but you may look at it as wisdom, as insight. You may look at it as something that you can use moving forward in your professional path. And it could also be for some Aries that you get news of either a promotion or an exciting new career opportunity. Lovely Aries. Now, from the 27th of June, Venus is moving into Leo in your 5th house until the 21st of July. And I've got to tell you, this entire period has sexy time written all over it. So you may actually connect with potential romantic partners. If you are in a relationship, you may feel inclined to spend more time with a romantic partner. It looks like the romance is being dialed up from the 27th of June onwards. And you may also feel so proud of yourself that you decide to treat yourself after very likely this big career win, this success that seems to have happened in your life around the 24th of June. And that is Aries. My dear Taurians, Taurus suns and Taurus risings, what does June look like for you? Well, I'll tell you. That's why you're here, I imagine. So throughout the entire month of June, Jupiter is going to continue to transit through your 11th house of long-term plans, goals, dreams, objectives, as well as friends. So it can still feel like you are attracting in your life new friendships. You are attracting in your life social opportunities to get together with friends. You are also very, very likely attracting in some shape or form possible opportunities to collaborate from a financial perspective. Why do I say this? Because Jupiter is also the ruler of, let's see, your 8th house of other people's money. So from that point of view, June is looking really, really good for you, my dear Taurians. Now, also in June, we have Mercury still in retrograde in your 2nd house of income in Gemini. I gotta put it out there. You seem to be attracting potential investors, but any sort of payments that you're expecting this month could actually be delayed until at least the 22nd of June. So I want you to be prepared for that. I want you to not freak out. I would also recommend that you continue to check what your bank balance looks like and to keep a close eye on your expenses, comings and goings, to keep a close eye on every single receipt that comes your way and anything that you have to pay for, because there could be mistakes made in the process. You could end up paying more. I have to put it out there. So it does not hurt to be extra attentive when it comes to money, the money that comes in and also the money that goes out, my dear Taurus, this month. From the 2nd of June until the 27th, Venus moves into Cancer in your 3rd house. Now, I gotta tell you, this is a period of time when you seem to be very persuasive when you talk. You seem to find the right words. You seem to be very liked when you communicate with others. You seem to attract potential buyers. If you're selling anything, if you're not selling anything, have a think about it. We're all selling something, even if we're not working in business development or sales. We're all selling an idea, a concept. We're pitching. So I gotta tell you, if you do need to pitch anything, I would strongly recommend that you do it this month between the 2nd of June and the 27th of June, when you have the Midas touch from Venus in your 3rd house of communication and sales. Now, between the 1st and the 8th of June, Mars in Cancer in your 3rd house is actually going to oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 9th house. I want to put it out there, Taurians, so that you know what you're dealing with and that you are prepared. There is a possibility that you may have to redo or spend a great deal of time, if you don't have to redo it, spend a great deal of time dealing with paperwork, dealing with documentation, anything connected to sales, anything connected to travels, anything connected to the administrative side of life. Because by the looks of it, there could be some sort of hidden occult obviously means hidden, element coming to the surface throughout this period, telling you, listen, you've got to take care of this, you need to deal with this, you can't pretend that this is not happening, especially since Mars is also the ruler of your 12th house, of the shadow of what's happening behind the scenes. So you may have some extra papers to fill in, especially, as I said, related to immigration, travel related matters, anything connected with sales, anything connected with classes or courses. Now on the 10th of June, this is probably one of the biggest, most important, most memorable days of the month. We have a solar eclipse, and I would also look at the week before the week after the 10th of June, in Gemini, in your second house of income, squaring Neptune and Pisces in your 11th house, but trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 10th house. So what's going on here? If you have been waiting for news connected to a new source of income in your life, my dear Taurus, it does look like you are getting it around this time. It may have been delayed. The news you may have been waiting for may not have arrived at the time when you expected it to arrive. But it's coming, it's big, it seems to bring with it additional prestige. It seems to bring with it some sort of increase in your reputation, in your status, in your career, because of this beautiful aspect to Saturn in your 10th house of career. It also looks like your merits are finally being acknowledged and recognized, and your paycheck is matching it. Now, if you're working for yourself, you could be attracting a very important, new, lucrative client, my dear Taurians. There is also a possibility that you may be allowed, and I say allowed if you're working for someone else. If you're working for yourself, then you may find for yourself a way to monetize an existing talent, a new way to monetize an existing talent. This is a fantastic, fantastic time for you, my dear Taurus, in terms of your income for, well, I gotta say, for years to come, because you're not going to experience eclipses in this part of your chart for another roughly 9 years. So take advantage of what is coming your way. Use it wisely. You're going to be required to put in the work and the effort, but you never went away from hard work. So well done to you. Now, from the 11th of June, Mars is going into Leo until the 29th of July in your 4th house of home, my dear Taurus. And I gotta tell you, it looks like throughout this entire period, you're going to be called to put a great deal of energy and effort and stamina and inner resources into home-related matters, which may actually not exactly be what you wanted or what you had planned to do throughout this period from the 11th of June until the 29th of July. Why do I say this? Well, because Mars is going to be at some point squaring your rising or squaring your sun. Mars is also going to be in a bit of a tense aspect to Saturn in your house of career later down the line. So I don't want to rain on your parade, because it does look like you have scored a massive win, income-wise, money-wise. But I gotta tell you, your attention is gonna be required at home. So now you know. Now, on the 14th of June, we have the second exact square of the year between Saturn in Aquarius in your 10th house of career and Uranus in Taurus in your 1st house of identity. And I would look back at what was going on in your life around the 17th of February when we had the first exact square between Saturn and Uranus. This transit is active the entire month. It's actually active the entire year, but the 14th of June is when it becomes exact. So what could happen at this point in time is there could be a massive, massive, massive clash with a figure of authority or a massive clash with a parent. You seem to be keen to break free from an existing career or professional situation that to you feels oppressive, that does not make sense. You encounter tremendous resistance, and by the looks of it, it is not something that is going to be solved straight away by just being rebellious and saying, I'm going to do my own thing. It seems to be a little bit more complicated than that, because you seem to have something to lose from a professional perspective, possibly, if you do kind of like say, no, I'm gonna go the other way. I mean, I'm all for revolution. Obviously, I'm an Aquarius. I've got Uranus tattooed on my neck, but this may not exactly be the time. Just to put it out there. Now, on the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your third house, and it is joining Venus there. So it is once again facilitating sales, buys, communication, networking, bringing people on board with your ideas. It is facilitating your own pitches. And between the 21st and the 25th of June, the sun in Cancer in your third house of communication is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 11th house. This is a beautiful aspect to get together with friends, to go away for a short break with friends, to travel short distance, maybe locally with friends, to get the whole group together. And you're probably going to feel a strong sense of belonging and alignment with the friends that you are connected with throughout this period. Now, on the 24th of June, we have a full moon in Capricorn happening in your 9th house. I would also look at the 3 days before, 3 days after. And on the 22nd of June, don't forget, Mercury had also gone out of retrograde. It had gone direct. What is going on around the 24th of June, Taurians? It looks like you're traveling. By the looks of it, you're planning a travel or you're actually traveling. You could be traveling with friends. Very likely you're traveling abroad or long distance or making plans to travel long distance. For those of you who are not traveling, I'm fully aware we are in a pandemic. But I know, for instance, here in the UK, we are going to be allowed to travel around that time, or so they say. There's also a possibility that you may hear some very, very good news connected to an exam at this point in time in your life, Taurus. So congratulations. The news is probably really, really satisfactory for you. Let's put it this way. And from the 27th of June, Venus moves into Leo in your 4th house until the 21st of July. So you had Mars here from the 11th of June. Venus comes in and sweetens the deal and makes taking care of any sort of home-related issues. It makes the entire experience a lot more enjoyable, Taurians. My dear Gemini suns and Gemini risings, you are obviously the undisputed stars of the month of June because, of course, you have a solar eclipse in your own sign. So let me not get ahead of myself. Let's start with the very, very beginning. First and foremost, Jupiter, the great benefic, the bringer of good luck and opportunities, is going to be transiting through your 10th house of career throughout the entire month. I want to flag how big this is. I want to flag how important it is to take advantage of Jupiter transits, to put yourself out there in front of people with clout, with authority. Any sort of exposure that you get throughout this period is likely to have long-lasting positive effects upon your career. This is a time to start thinking about how you can push the boundaries of your professional life. Stephen Forrest says, how have I been underestimating myself when it comes to Jupiter transits or when it comes to our Jupiter placement? The question for you, Geminis, this month is, how have you been underestimating yourself in terms of your professional potential? And if you have, well, it is the time to start thinking about how you can explore new avenues and how you can broaden your perspectives. Now, Mercury is still in retrograde throughout your house of identity until the 22nd of June. So there may still be, let's say, feelings of not knowing where you're headed just yet, not knowing how to brand yourself. Possibly you could experience instances where you feel misunderstood, where you feel a little bit confused as to what is next in your life. It can feel like a bit of an ambiguous period in regards to where your life is going. You're getting all of this attention in a career environment. You might be getting opportunities, you might be getting ideas, you could be inviting mentors in your life career-wise. At the same time, you're wondering, is this what I want to do? Is this where I want to go with my life? And now from the 2nd of June until the 27th, Venus, one of the two benefics in astrology, Venus and Jupiter are the two benefic planets, moves into Cancer until, well, as I said, until the 27th of June, essentially attracting money in your life. So there is a very high possibility that your income could go up throughout this period. There's also a high possibility that you may be feeling ready to treat yourself. Because what do we do when we make more money? There's almost like this feeling of, oh yes, I deserve it. Treat yourself. Which is actually not a bad thing at all when Venus is going through your second house, because essentially it makes you feel good about yourself and it increases your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. Now, between the 2nd and the 4th of June, Venus in Cancer in your second house of income and talents is trining Jupiter and Pisces in your 10th house of career. So this is a period of time when you could literally be applauded by someone in a position of power for your inner resources and talents. Now, between the 1st and the 8th of June, however, we've got another interesting transit. Mars in Cancer in your second house of income will oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house of other people's money. I gotta say, this can be a time when your expenses go up, and possibly because there are some sort of unexpected expenses coming up to the surface, or taxes, or something that is due that you may not have necessarily been aware of, Geminis. So consider yourselves prepared. And on the 10th of June, and I would also look at the week before the week after, the new moon solar eclipse is happening in your 1st house of identity, squaring Neptune and Pisces in your 10th house of career, and trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 9th house of the higher mind and of your belief system. What is happening, Gemini? It looks like you're reinventing yourself. It looks like your path in life is, your direction in life is literally changing. You may not exactly know what this means fully for your profession, for your current state of things in terms of your career. Neptune may bring a little bit of blur, a little bit of confusion. You may not have a tight grasp on what is next. At the same time, this feels like a moment in time like no other, when you are given the opportunity to start fresh and to carve a new path for yourself, to become a new person. And that is exhilarating. Why? Because it seems to be in alignment with your belief system, with your ideology. Now, from the 11th of June, Mars moves into Leo in your 3rd house until the 29th of July. Let me tell you, this entire period has travel and movement and short distance travel and meeting new people written all over it. I gotta tell you, you are gonna be one busy bee. Your email is going to blow up. Your let's say your phone is probably going to be ringing nonstop. And the good part is that you seem to have the energy to deal with all of it. Now, on the 14th of June, we have the 2nd exact square this year between Saturn and Aquarius in your 9th house of long distance travel and the higher mind, squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 12th house of the shadow. My apologies. I would first and foremost look back at the 17th of February and the days before, the days after, because the first exact square between these two big players in astrology happened on the 17th, my apologies, of February. The transit is active the entire month, and it's actually active the entire year. So whatever it brings to the surface may not feel new at all. I gotta say, there seems to be some sort of blockage connected to possibly long distance travel or some sort of unexpected delay connected to anything that has to do with courts of law, immigration, travel, passports, higher education. It's not pretty. And I want you to know that it's not pretty. Now, this doesn't mean that it's forever. So any sort of obstacle, and especially an obstacle coming from Saturn, says, don't give up. The trick with Saturn is do not give up. You've worked hard for it. Well, Saturn calls for some additional work. That's just the way to put it. Now, from the 11th until the 14th of June, we also have a very nice aspect between Venus and Cancer in your second house of income, sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 12th house. Now, this has literally written over it, unexpected cash landing in your lap. Just so you know. From the 21st of June, the Sun joins Venus in your second house of income, illuminating your finances even further. And between the 21st and the 25th, the Sun in Cancer in your second house of income is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 10th house of career. So this has spelled all over it, money received for a job well done, or kudos for a job well done. On the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Capricorn in your 8th house of other people's money, of shared resources, in a great aspect with Jupiter and Pisces in your 12th, in your 10th house. What's happening at this time is you seem to be completing some sort of financial chapter in your life where you had to give money away. So you may be paying off your taxes at this time and feeling very proud of it. This could also be a time when you receive some sort of bonus from work because this full moon is very nicely aspected to Jupiter in your house of career. So if you work on a commission based type of role, this is great news for you. This is also really good news in general, I would say, for people who have investments, because this aspect between the full moon and Jupiter can literally result in a significant return on investment, folks. And from the 27th of July, from the 27th of June, Venus enters Leo in your 3rd house until the 21st of July. Now, Venus going through your 3rd house is going to make short distance travel very pleasant. It is also going to make connecting with others a very, very pleasant endeavor, so to speak. It is going to give you additional charisma in communicating. Not that you need any additional charisma, Gemini, but hey, you can thank Venus for that. So you're probably going to really, really enjoy the transit of Venus through this part of your chart. I would say this is a period of time also when communications with a romantic partner of any type are likely to feel very fulfilling. It's almost as if you are on the same page, Geminis. So enjoy your month of June. Now, if you are a Cancer Sun or a Cancer Rising, my Cancerian brothers and sisters, yes, I'm a Cancer Rising, of course. For those of you who are new here, I have to mention it every single time in the same way that I mentioned that I'm an Aquarius Sun. So what is going on for us in June? Well, there is a lot of energy concentrated in our 12th house of rest and of spirituality. And there's also a lot of energy, a lot of focus on the 9th house of long distance travel and on our own sign. With Venus entering into our own sign on the 2nd of June in Cancer, and then further down the line on the 21st of June, the Sun moving into Cancer as well. So let's start dissecting this month, folks. So throughout the entire month, Jupiter is going through your 9th house of long distance travel, higher education, higher mind, beliefs, mentors, spirituality, the connection of all, let's say, insights that you have gathered and the way you start putting it together. You're probably going to feel, Cancerians, especially Cancer risings this month, that you are becoming wiser by the day, if that makes sense. It is a beautiful month to travel. And I know, I'm fully aware of the fact that Mercury is still in retrograde in Gemini, but I would look at it as a beautiful period to travel to places that you have been to before. Because after all, Mercury is about going back, revisiting, reviewing, redoing. So why not go back to places that you have been to already, Cancerians? Long distance travel for you is an area that receives tremendous protection, and it's likely to be a very fulfilling area this month, Cancerians. Now, from the 2nd of June until the 27th, we have Venus going through our first house. Okay, did someone say, get a haircut, buy new clothes, look good? I don't know. Yes, Venus said it. This is the time of the year to spend money on you and to treat yourself and to take care of yourself. And if you want to do anything to your body that has, let's say, an aesthetic value, and that goes, as I said, for going to the hairdressers, buying new clothes, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to continue to give examples that might be considered frivolous, but hey, Venus in your first house is frivolous. It's vain, but it's also pleasing. It's beautiful. It's attractive, and Venus is giving you a whole of a lot of attractiveness and the oomph factor, Cancerians. So you do with this what you want. What am I doing? I don't know. We'll see. You'll probably see it on my Instagram stories if I buy anything new. From the 2nd until the 4th of June, Venus in Cancer in your first house is actually trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 9th house. This is a great time to connect with mentors. This is also a time when you may feel like you absorb new information very easily, and especially information connected with your spiritual let's say affinities and inclinations. This can also be a time when you literally receive great news from abroad, from foreign collaborators, for instance, because Jupiter is also the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. Now, from the 1st until the 8th of June, Mars in Cancer in your first house. So you know how I said that you're going to be very sexy and very attractive? Well, Mars in Cancer in your first house is going to oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 7th house. So for those of you who are coupled, I gotta tell you, this could literally result in a jealous partner. Just so that you know. And it can also result in some sort of ego clash with any partners in your life, be them life partners, be them business partners. So very, very careful. That's how I would go about this. I would kind of like tiptoe around this energy. On the 10th of June, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in your 12th house, Cancerians. And I would also look at the week before, the week after, because it's an eclipse after all, and it is supercharged. You are experiencing some sort of revelation, a big new beginning spiritually, Cancerians. You may have an epiphany from a spiritual perspective. You may discover a new side to yourself, a side that was buried deep within the shadows. This is a really, really good time to embark upon a journey of self-knowledge, of self-understanding, of meeting your shadow. This is a fantastic time to start trying out some sort of new practices or therapies that are connected with understanding your subconscious, working with the subconscious, such as hypnotherapy, for instance. This can be a time when you are given the tool by the universe unexpectedly, because it's the 12th house, and whatever happens in the 12th house we don't necessarily see coming. You are given the tool to overcome some sort of psychological crisis, because the new moon in your 12th house is trining Saturn in your 8th house of psychological transformation. It all makes sense. Now, from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, finally, Mars gets out of your sign, out of our sign. It goes into Leo in your 2nd house of money and income, and you are gonna hustle like no one's business, Cancerians, and you are probably also going to spend So much money. Mars going through the second house of income says, yeah, get rid of it. When? Now, fast. So, just so you know. And now on the 14th of June, we have the second exact square of the year between Saturn and Aquarius in your 8th house of other people's money and shared resources, and Uranus and Taurus in your 11th house. I would look back at the 17th of February when this square was exact for the first time this year. The transit is active the entire month. What you're likely to deal with is some sort of, let's call it maybe delay or blockage of some sort related to money that you were relying upon in order to pursue one of your longer term goals and dreams. So let's say that you were waiting for an investor to say yes, or maybe you were waiting for an investment to pay off around this time, and it's not yet paying off. So you have to postpone the next steps for one of your objectives or for one of your projects. I also want to put it out there, this can be a time when you hear some jarring news connected to a friend, and it can feel a little bit like some sort of betrayal, Cancerians. Now, from the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your first house, and you're literally feeling... You're feeling the center of attention. I have to put it out there. Now, this feels good. Why? Because the sun is the ruler of your second house of self-worth and values and self-esteem. So it can feel like you're getting more and more appreciation from the world around you. And from the 21st until the 25th of June, the sun in Cancer in your first house is going to be trining Jupiter and Pisces in your 9th house. Okay, so... did someone say long distance travel? Once again, I said it. You are very likely to feel like yourself, to feel like a new person if you are abroad, if you are surrounded by some sort of foreign culture. This can also feel like a time when you have a certain epiphany about your belief system and your view of the world. And it's also a time when you are likely to receive positive news from a legal entity. If you were waiting for news of any type from a legal entity, especially connected to travel, immigration, anything that has a kind of like international global feel to it. On the 22nd of June, Mercury goes direct in your 12th house. Finally, you can say goodbye to the insomnia. I know all of these kind of like dreams and scenarios and everything that's been going on underneath the surface. You seem to have been receiving downloads and insights, maybe through your dreams, maybe through meditation. It's all very exciting, but it may have also been quite tiring. On the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, Cancerians, you have a full moon in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships, in a great aspect to Jupiter in Pisces in your 9th house of long distance travel, foreign lands and foreign countries. This is when you may feel very lucky to be with the partner that you are with. If you are single, then this can be a time when you meet someone, especially if you find yourself in a social type of environment. This could also be a time when you attract a very powerful partner in your life who you can collaborate with from a work-related perspective, because let us not forget, Jupiter is the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. If you are away with a partner at this time, travels are likely to be lush. And let's face it, some Cancerians might get engaged around this time. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus moves into Leo in your 2nd house, essentially attracting more money in your life, making you more receptive to receiving the bounty of the universe in your life, Cancerians. My dear Leos, Leo suns, and Leo risings, June is going to be a very, very exciting month for you. And let me tell you why. Well, there's actually a few reasons why. First and foremost, let me remind you that Jupiter, the great benefic, is going to be transiting through your 8th house of other people's money, shared resources, sex, taxes, death and rebirth, psychological transformation, essentially making you very open to receiving financial bounty from others. It is also making you, let's call it, very susceptible to reaping the rewards from some of your investments. So I suppose that's great news. It is also very likely amplifying your sex life. And it is making you feel very, very lucky when it comes to an intimate partnership in your life, Leos. Now, let's not forget that we also have Mercury still going retrograde this month in your 11th house of friends and long-term plans, goals, and dreams. So until the 22nd of June, there is a very high possibility that there may be some sort of delays or misunderstandings when it comes to one of your long-term objectives. There could be additional papers to file. There could be a need for you to revisit and review contracts. There could be a need for you to redo some of your, let's say, presentations or projects. Speaking of redoing, there is a possibility that projects from the past that you may have worked on are coming back to your attention. Now, Mercury going in retrograde through your 11th house is actually not that bad at all, because essentially it could also indicate previous collaborators, previous allies reaching out to you for new collaborations. It can also indicate an increased likelihood of you catching up with old friends. So again, not that bad at all, Leo. Now, from the 2nd of June until the 27th, Venus is going to be moving through Cancer in your 12th house. Essentially, you are going to love running away from the world and probably spending time in the privacy of your home, or spending time away from it all, away from the maddening crowd, with a romantic partner. Yes. Especially since between the 2nd and the 4th of June, Venus in Cancer in your 8th house is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 8th house of intimacy and, intimate partnerships of all kinds. Can I just say, if I were you, Leo, I would book a cabin somewhere in the woods with your partner, with a romantic interest, and just turn your phone off and enjoy the break from it all. Now, between the 1st and the 8th of June, though, we have a bit of a challenging aspect between Mars in Cancer in your 12th house and Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So there seems to be some sort of, maybe secret coming to the surface in your work environment. Maybe there is something that was buried, something that wasn't dealt with at the correct time, and now it is coming up to kind of like, require your attention. Let us put it this way. There is also a possibility, I do want to put it out there, that you might literally need to rest. I recommend resting willingly, not because you are burnt out, because this can indicate burnout, this aspect. It can literally indicate significant exhaustion as a result of overworking yourself. Now, on the 10th of June, give or take a week before, a week after, we have probably one of the most exciting events of the month, the solar eclipse happening in your 11th house of long-term goals, plans, dreams, collaborations, as well as friends. It is squaring Neptune and Pisces in your 8th house, but it is trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 7th house. So this could be a time when you literally embark upon a new exciting journey for the future with a romantic partner, maybe kind of like making plans for the future together. Why do I say with a partner? Because the eclipse is trining Saturn in your 7th house. You may be announcing to the world, to your friends, that you are committed. There is also a possibility that along with a business partner, because the 7th house is the house of contractual partnerships, you embark upon an exciting new journey, my dear Leos. Now, the one thing that I do recommend you talk about in detail, it's money matters, especially money or like resources that you pull together. I'm really not that keen on that square to Neptune and Pisces in the 8th house. The situation around finances could be a bit fuzzy, so it does not hurt to sit down, pen and paper on the table, and say, let us make a bullet point list. Can I just say that I recommend bullet point lists pretty much all the time? I do find them very, very helpful. And no, I have no Virgo in my chart. I have a lot of Capricorn though. On the 11th of June, Mars moves into Leo in your 1st house of identity until the 29th of July. Literally, Leos, you are getting a boost in energy. You are gonna feel on fire, like you can move mountains. And this is a fantastic period actually to dedicate yourself to a goal that you have that requires you to work on your own. Autonomously. Why do I say autonomously? Because if you have to work with someone else, then you may feel impatient, you may feel like other people are slower than you, and it can lead to frustration. Now, you're probably going to be very much in a rush throughout this entire period, so be very careful how you use sharp tools and how you use machinery in general, because Mars in the first house can make one prone to cuts, to bruises, to burns. You have been warned. Now, on the 14th of June, we have an exact square, which is actually active the entire year, but you're probably going to feel it quite strongly on the 14th of June. We have an exact square between Saturn and Aquarius in your 7th house of partnerships, squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house of career. So what's happening here is the following. There seems to be a bit of a clash between your plans career-wise and maybe what a partner has in mind for you. You seem to be a little bit in disagreement as to what is next, and you may actually not find the solution for what to do next straight away, because it does seem to require constant kind of like readjustment throughout the year, this issue that you might be dealing with around the 14th of June. This could also be a time when someone that you may have relied upon career-wise as a business partner says, you know what, I don't want to do things your way. So I would be prepared for the unexpected at this time, my dear Leos. Now, on the 21st of June, the sun enters Cancer in your 12th house of the shadow and of rest and of privacy and retreat. And between the 21st and the 25th, the sun in Cancer in this part of your chart is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 8th house. Okay. So what does this mean? Well, the 8th house is the house of other people's money and shared resources. This transit can literally bring secret wins coming from an investment, or it can bring some sort of lump sum of money or a gift making its way to you. It's not necessarily something that you expected, and it may not necessarily be something that you shout about from the rooftops to everyone, but it does seem to improve your mood dramatically. And people might be thinking, oh, what's going on? What's happening? Why are you in such a great mood? I mean, generally, you're in quite a good mood. And you may not be willing to let them know. So it looks like you've got a very saucy secret that could be related to finances in particular. And on the 24th of June, I would also look at the 3 days before, 3 days after. We have a full moon in Capricorn in your 6th house of day-to-day work, in a great aspect to Jupiter and Pisces in your 8th house. So two things seem to be happening here. You are either completing successfully, I want to flag, because of the aspect to Jupiter, a work-related project that you may have been stressing out about. If you have experienced any sort of issue health-wise, especially in the first week of June, it looks like you are solving things. It looks like you're feeling better. It looks like you have treated whatever crisis you may have dealt with, or it doesn't even have to be a crisis. It may be some sort of like inflammation that you deal with in the first part of the month. So, well done, Leos. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, first of all, welcome to your June horoscope. This month is going to be super exciting for you when it comes to partnerships and relationships, my dear Virgos. And I know I have people saying, I'm not in a partnership, I'm not in a relationship. And I remind people, it's not all just about the romance. It can be about the business. So you may be receiving throughout this entire month opportunities to collaborate with potential business partners. The entire month, Jupiter is moving through your 7th house. Any sort of collaborations with a partner seem to be very, very fruitful. You may also be feeling very lucky and privileged if you are in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, to be with the person that you are with at this time. If you are single, then let me tell you, you can attract potential partners in your life. Now, from the 2nd of June until the 27th of June, Venus is going to be moving through Cancer in your 11th house of friends, long-term goals, plans, objectives, collaborators. This transit coupled up with the transit of Jupiter in your 7th house of one-to-one interactions and partnerships says if you need collaborators, if you need opportunities, if you have been waiting for opportunities to knock at your door, they are coming. They are knocking at your door. I have to put it out there for you, my dear Virgos. This is also a fantastic period of time to catch up with friends, to spend time surrounded by friends. You seem to be feeling very loved, very appreciated in the circles that you are a part of. And especially if you have to travel, because Venus also rules your 9th house of long distance travel. If you have to travel, can I just recommend travel with friends, because you will find it very, very enjoyable, dear Virgos. Now, yes, I know Mercury is still retrograde. I know. But it is retrograde in your 10th house of career. So that has quite little to do with travels. Until the 22nd of June, Mercury is retrograde in your 10th house in Gemini. Essentially, it seems to be delaying some sort of news that you may have been waiting for career-wise. It can also increase the likelihood of misunderstandings and miscommunication with bosses and with people in positions of power. So I would not be afraid to triple check that the email left your inbox. I would not be afraid to clarify any sort of messages or briefs or tasks that are allocated to you by someone higher up, by a line manager, for instance, because there is a high chance that maybe something was missed in them, telling you what you are meant to be doing. Now, between the 1st and the 8th of June, Mars in Cancer in your 11th house is going to oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house. What's happening at this time is everyone wants a piece of you, Virgos, and everyone wants to have fun with you. Everyone is calling you to a party. Friends might be feeling, let's say, insulted if you don't go with them to a party. Your romantic partner also wants to spend time with you. They want a piece of you. You may be in a really tough spot in terms of how to and who with to have more fun. So I know it's not that bad a problem to have. Let's face it. There is a possibility, though, that if you are doing anything creative, if you are involved in any sort of creative project, that there may be some sort of issue connected with collaborators and also some sort of issue connected with the target audience, with the public that this is addressed to, that you may not have taken into account up until this point. I also want to flag that this can mean trouble as a result of having too much fun. So you read into it in the first 8 days of June, whatever it is that you want to read into it, Virgos. Now, on the 10th of June, give or take a week before, a week after, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in your 10th house of career, of public status, of public reputation, trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 6th house of day-to-day work, but in a square to Neptune in Pisces in your 7th house of partnerships. What's happening at this time is, Virgos, this is absolutely huge. So this is when you seem to be starting a completely new professional chapter and path in your life. It's either a promotion, it's a new job altogether, a step up the ladder. It can be a change in profession. It can feel like there is no going back, like you are being reborn in terms of your professional path. And it can be a result of someone really believing in you, someone with a lot of clout, someone with a lot of influence, someone with a lot of authority, I've got to say. What this will mean, very likely for your relationship, though, especially for those who are in a committed partnership, is that you're probably going to have to spend some time away from your partner, maybe even at a distance from your partner. Got to put it out there. Now, on the 11th of June, Mars moves into Leo in your 12th house until the 29th of July. Let me tell you, this has insomnia spelled all over it. My recommendation would be, when you get a little bit of time, when you get a little bit of downtime, if you feel like you can't rest because your head is going in like a 1,000 directions, I recommend strenuous workout. I have Mars in my 12th house, and literally, if I do not work out, I don't sleep very well. That's why I work out all the time. So take it from someone with Mars in the 12th house. I would also recommend, if you can, that you get serious about a spiritual practice. So maybe save some time in your day to dedicate to it. Maybe go away for some time, maybe for like a retreat that has some sort of spiritual component to it. You could also be training in secret for something, I gotta say, because Mars is also connected with athletics. On the 14th of June, we have the second exact square of the year. The first one was on the 17th of February, so I would look back at it. Between Saturn and Aquarius in your 6th house of health and day-to-day work, squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 9th house. Now, a few issues seem to be coming to the surface around this time. You may have been waiting for some sort of green light from a legal entity connected to your work status, and it may be delayed at this point. So I'm particularly thinking of people who might need visas or sponsorships or like whatever they're called, green cards. There may be some sort of delay at this time, and quite unexpected, to be frank. This can also be a time when you have to travel to take care of a health-related matter. I will put it out there. Now, on the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your 11th house of long-term plans, and between the 21st and the 25th, the sun in Cancer is going to be trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 7th house of partnerships. So let me tell you, between the 21st and the 25th, you may be feeling blessed to be in the company of friends and of your partner, and you may be spending quality time with all of them together. For those of you who are single, then you may be introduced to a potential long-term partner by your friends, so through your circle of friends. This can also feel like a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time to make plans with friends, maybe plans to travel, maybe plans to go away, maybe to make plans even when it comes to collaborating from a work related perspective. You do seem to have very powerful allies around this time, my dear Virgo. Now, on the 24th of June, we have a full moon in Capricorn in your 5th house. I would also look at the 3 days before, 3 days after, in a great aspect to Jupiter in Pisces in your 7th house. Okay, so people who are in the position to have kids, who have a partner, who have sex, they can have a kid at this time. So they may find out that their partner or themselves, they are pregnant, because the 5th house is the house of children, let's not forget. This can also be a very, very exciting time in terms of completing a creative project, and the public seems to be receiving it very well, so you seem to be receiving very positive feedback, my dear Virgos. This is also a time of culminating love in your life. So you could be feeling very loved, very appreciated, and very happy if you are in a romantic relationship. If you're not in a romantic relationship, can I just say, go out. Surround yourself with people. Go out on dates, because this is prime time for love, my dear Virgos. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus joins Leo in your 12th house and essentially makes you want to probably spend more time in private, probably take a little bit of time off, maybe plan a holiday, plan a short break, plan a short vacation. And that, my dears, is Virgo. My dear Libra suns and Libra risings, what does June have in store for you? I have to say it, Libras, a lot of work, first and foremost. Above everything else, you have a lot on your plate day in and day out, and you've got Jupiter, the planet that amplifies everything, to thank for this. Because throughout the entire month, Jupiter is going to be transiting through your 6th house of day-to-day work. So just so you know, you're going to be very busy. Make sure that you rest well, make sure that you eat well, because your to-do list is on fire. Now, what's also happening throughout the entire month until the 22nd of June, so almost the entire month, is Mercury in retrograde through your 9th house. Now, Mercury retrograde is usually associated with redoing something or revisiting something. So it does look like you may need to revisit some sort of exam or something connected to higher education, or you may need to refile, for instance, papers, documents connected with ninth house matters, such as immigration matters, visas, passports, anything connected with legal, the legal status, maybe residence in a foreign country. Now, Mercury retrograde in your ninth house could literally also indicate traveling abroad to a place that you have been to before. Now, from the 2nd of June until the 27th of June, Venus is moving through Cancer in your 10th house of career. So essentially you are receiving applause and you are receiving some sort of acclaim, let's say, career-wise. So you are working and you're working very hard and you are working a lot, but it does look like you're not working in vain. Which is great, if you ask me. It looks like you are receiving appreciation from bosses, and you also seem to be enjoying the work that you're doing. I have to put it out there. Now, between the 2nd and the 4th, Venus in Cancer in your 10th house of career is actually trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So you may be feeling very privileged and very lucky to be working in a project or in an environment where you might not even feel like the work that you do is work. That's because you enjoy it so much. Now, from the 1st until the 8th of June, Mars in Cancer in your 10th house of career, making you super busy, is actually opposing Pluto in Capricorn in your 4th house of home. So there could be some sort of maybe clash with a family member that is happening as a result of you being very busy at work. Maybe something bursts in the home environment and you have to take a few days off from work, even though you are very, very busy, essentially adding even more on your plate. This can also indicate open disagreement with a parent, so some sort of ego clash with a parent or power play with a member of your family. Now, on the 10th of June, and I would also look at the week before the week after, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in your 9th house of the higher mind, of belief systems, and of long distance travel, in a trine to Saturn in your 5th house of creativity, of fun, of entertainment, of enjoyment. It looks like at this time, my dear Libras, you are embarking upon a whole new spiritual chapter. You may be exposed to a new type of spiritual practice. You may feel like you have found a mentor at this time. You may also feel drawn to study something that you enjoy doing as a passion, as a hobby, and take it to the next level and really integrate it within your wider life philosophy in some shape or form. I gotta say it, this could also be the time when you hear some sort of news connected to, as I said, legal status, residence, visa, or a trial if you were involved in anything connected with the courts of law. Some people are going to start off maybe a new higher education degree. And it does seem to be something that you are emotionally invested in. That's how I would put it. Now, you may not necessarily know how you're going to work around it because you seem to be very busy with work at the same time, but you'll figure it out. From the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars moves through Leo in your 11th house of long-term plans. It looks like you're going to be putting a great deal of energy, my dear Libras, into going after and taking action when it comes to one of your long-term plans. And it also looks like you are receiving support from partners and friends because Mars is also the ruler of your 7th house of partnership. Now, on the 14th of June, give or take, a day before, a day after, and I would also look back at the 17th of February, we have the second exact square between Saturn and Uranus. Saturn in your 5th house of creativity, enjoyment, and romantic love and children, squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 8th house. Now, what can this mean? Well, it can literally mean a clash with a romantic partner as a result of not being aligned from an intimacy perspective, or not being aligned from a financial perspective, because the 8th house is the house of sex and money, especially shared resources, other people's money. There could also be some sort of disagreement related to what your partner values and what you value in terms of fun and entertainment. It's like, I want to have fun, and your partner is, I want to have fun as well, and you're like, yeah, but we don't have fun in the same way. Or your partner might actually try to restrict a little bit, a romantic partner might try to restrict a little bit the way in which you have fun. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be something that is solved straight away. It seems to be something that continues in terms of energy throughout the rest of the year, actually. Now, on the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your 10th house of career, essentially illuminating even further your house of career and status and reputation. And from the 21st until the 25th, the sun is going to be trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Okay, folks, Libras, you are getting probably some sort of recognition work-wise. This could also be a time when you are receiving a new job opportunity with Jupiter in Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work. If you are having interviews, if you're looking for a job, I would really kind of like pump it up between the 21st and the 25th of June or apply to jobs. You may also be chosen as someone to lead a specific work project that is very prestigious, that requires you to step into the limelight more, that requires you to take a very public stance. And you seem to be very proud of it and enjoying it. Now, on the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Capricorn in your 4th house of home, family, roots, the past, and it's in a great aspect with Jupiter in Pisces in your 6th house of health and day-to-day work. So this can be a time when some of the work that you have been putting into creating a home life or a family life that you're proud of is paying off, and it's paying off beautifully, and you are ending the work that you are doing in this area of your life. Probably for the rest of the year. I gotta say it. You could be moving into a new home at this time. You could be completing the purchase of a home or the sale of a home. You could be welcoming a new member of the family. You could also be finally breathing easily because a family member has overcome some sort of health-related issue. Whatever it is, you're happy with it. You're feeling #blessed, and you should be. It also looks like the hard work and the effort that you have been putting in this area of your life is something that the universe is repaying you for. So you deserve whatever goodness is happening to you in this part of your life. Some of you may also score some sort of job that allows you to spend more time with the family, more time at home, that allows you to have a better work-life balance. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus is going to move through Leo in your 11th house of friends, essentially making you the charmer, the loved one, the appreciated one, the star. When it comes to social circles, when it comes to social environments, you are going to be in high demand, and you are going to love being surrounded by friends even more than you do generally. And life is good. Life is very, very, very good, my dear Libras. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, June is going to be interesting. June is going to be filled with love, Scorpios. Yes, you heard that right. I'm like wagging my finger at you. Yes, you're going to have a lot of love, Scorpios, in your life, and you deserve it. Jupiter is in charge of that for you. So Jupiter throughout the entire month is going to be transiting through your 5th house of romance, of love, of children, of creativity. Your inspiration, your imagination is bonkers in a good way. You seem to be feeling more inspired, more creative, and more motivated to put your energy and time and resources into creative projects than you may have felt in a very, very long time. You also seem to be in the mood to have fun, to enjoy life, to enjoy yourself, to spend time with a loved one throughout this entire period. And if you're single and if you want to have a partner in your life, because I know some people have commented saying, oh no, we do not want partners in our lives. And I say, I'm not talking to you then. Clearly, if you don't want a partner in your life, then remember, astrology, folks, does not take away our free will. You don't have to say yes to opportunities of love knocking at your door. You don't have to say yes to receiving more kind of fun let's say, occasions in your life, my dear Scorpio. But if you want to say yes, then Jupiter has got your back this month. And that also goes for opportunities to be in a romantic relationship. Now, until the 22nd of June, we still have Mercury in retrograde through your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources. So you may still hear news of having some extra taxes that you need to pay, or some sort of outstanding bill. Or if you have been waiting on news connected to a loan, a mortgage, or an investment, it's probably going to be delayed. And you may have already made peace with that up until this point. Things are kind of like getting back to normal after the 22nd of June at least. But up until that point, breathe, have fun, go party, spend time with a loved one, create, put your energy into creation or into making babies if you so wish to, because this is a great aspect to have Jupiter in your 5th house of babies. And don't fret if the money's not coming in when you expected it to come in. It will. Trust me, it will. Now, between the 2nd and the 4th of June, Venus in Cancer in your 9th house is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 5th house. What's happening here is, well, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. So Venus moved into Cancer on the 2nd of June until the 27th. So throughout this entire period, I gotta say, you are very, very nicely aspected to travel long distance. You're also very, very nicely aspected in terms of meeting mentors or people who are very, very interesting and people who have something to teach you and something to add to your life philosophy. This is a fantastic time also to promote any sort of services that you might offer, to run a marketing campaign, for instance, to publish something, to publish a book, for instance, or to promote a book, to tell your story to the world. And I would love for you to keep in mind, especially the period between the 2nd and the 4th of June, when Venus in Cancer is trining Jupiter in Pisces. Yes, yes, yes. So this is a great time when you may receive appreciation for a creative type of project that you have been working on. It's also a great time to travel abroad with a romantic partner. And if you can't travel abroad, then go to the theater, go to any sort of cultural event, because it will feel out of this world. It will feel magical. And it can also feel like you are learning and expanding and broadening your horizons as a result of having some sort of romantic encounter in your life. Or for those of you who have kids, you may be very, very proud of your children throughout this period, and you may feel like they are very wise and they have something to teach you, my dear Scorpios. Now, from the 1st until the 8th of June, Mars in Cancer in your 9th house is opposing Pluto and Capricorn in your 3rd house. If you have travels indeed planned for this period, my recommendation is to, well, I was about to say something about your car. I'm going to say something about your car. So especially if you are traveling short distance locally, or if you're traveling with your car, or if you're traveling with a means of transportation that you can control, something might go off. I will put it out there. Now, if you need help, then you're probably going to get help, because you've got that Venus in your corner. You've got Jupiter trining you. So Jupiter in Pisces is by whole sign aspect and a harmonious aspect with Scorpio. So you're going to receive help. Do not get annoyed. Do not huff and puff or feel like you have been cursed, because if you do need help with anything connected with travel or movement or transportation, you are going to get it. This can also indicate some sort of misunderstanding or disagreement with siblings, if you do have siblings. Now, if you need to sell anything, I would absolutely recommend, or buy anything, I would absolutely recommend that you go through the contract with a fine-tooth comb, as they say, or that you get an attorney to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because Pluto has a tendency to hide things. And you don't want that to happen, obviously. And this is also happening in the period when Mercury is retrograde. Now, on the 10th of June, give or take a week before a week after, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in your 8th house, in a beautiful aspect to Saturn in Aquarius in your 4th house of home. So this is a fantastic new beginning for you in terms of shared resources, my dear Scorpio. So you could be receiving that news around the 10th of June, as I said, a week before a week after, that your mortgage has been approved, that you are getting the loan that you wanted to get. Now, the 8th house is also the house of inheritance, so you may be receiving news related to an inheritance, especially since this solar eclipse is linked with Saturn in your 4th house of family, and the 4th house is also connected with at least one of the parents. I usually associate the 4th house with the father. I'm in agreement with traditional astrologers here, but some astrologers say that the 4th house is the mother. In any case, you could be receiving a lump sum of money as a gift or as inheritance from a parent at this time, and it does seem to make a humongous difference in your life in general, and especially when it comes to how you live, where you live. You could be, as a result of receiving this lump sum of money, moving someplace else very soon. But I'm not getting ahead of myself yet. So from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars is moving into Leo in your 10th house of career. Did someone say busy? Did someone say you're gonna be in the spotlight? If no one said it, I am saying it. So it looks like you are going to be asked to lead something career-wise, or lead even more than you have been leading up until this point if you are already in a management or leadership position. It looks like your initiative and your stamina are going to be required in the workspace. And I also have to say, it can feel like nothing is standing in your way at this time, which can also lead to trouble, especially ego clashes with people in positions of power, because you are kind of like, no, I'm leading this. And they're like, no, I think you should be doing this. So careful there. Now, on the 14th of June, we have an exact square. This also happened on the 17th of February between Saturn and Aquarius in your 4th house and Uranus and Taurus in your 7th house. So you may have a disagreement with a partner, and this could be something that you've been talking about throughout pretty much the entire year. You may have a disagreement with a partner connected to where to live or connected to your living situation in general. You may also have some sort of clash with a partner connected to a parent or to a family member, or a family member might be in complete disagreement, especially a parent, of who you have chosen to take on as a partner, or they might be in complete disagreement of what you are planning to do in a relationship, in a partnership. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partnership. It can be a business partnership. This energy is TBC, to be continued, because it's something active throughout the entire year. It could be an open conflict with a partner as a result of your roots, of your past, of your upbringing. So it could be acting at a more subtle level. Something for you to think about, because, well, it's not that simple to just kind of like go in either direction. And it looks like your partner in particular, if you are in a relationship, could be kind of like trying to pull you away from your roots, or from your past, or from your past conditioning. Now, I know I got very serious all of a sudden. I'm like, yes, it's going to be so much fun, so much love, so much creativity. And then I'm like, yeah, but there's a clash. Now, from the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your 9th house, and between the 21st and the 25th, the sun in this part of your chart is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 5th house. So you seem to be making up, or making out, or both, with a romantic partner at this time. You may also feel inclined to spend time in society, surrounded by people, involved in some sort of like cultural kind of like activities with a romantic partner. It can also feel like a great time to socialize, to get involved in fun activities with groups of people. And you seem to be very appreciated in a kind of like public environment for your creativity and for your creative spirit. Now, On the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Capricorn in your third house, triggering the third house, ninth house axis, in a great aspect to Jupiter in Pisces in your fifth house. So at this time, you may be receiving some very, very good news connected with travel, especially travel with a romantic partner. You may also be receiving some really good news if you have children, connected to your children's education, to your child's education. And this could also be a time when you hear that you can finally maybe fulfill your plans connected to traveling. Something is kind of like culminating, something is coming to fruition. And it is also a time, I have to say, when you could be completing successfully, very, very successfully, a course of study. And you have every single reason to party and to have fun and to be proud of yourself because you've done so well. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus is moving into Leo in your 10th house of career, effectively making you incredibly charming and attractive in the eyes of not of possessive, oh my days, what am I saying, Scorpios? Potential employers, and generally in the eyes of the people that you work with. So you seem to be appreciated at work. If you're looking for new kind of like job opportunities, or if you need the approval of your boss for something, take advantage of this period. It is also a period of time, so from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, when your reputation seems to be receiving a boost, your prestige seems to be growing, your status seems to be glitzier and more glamorous, and something to be proud of. I will put it out there. And that, Scorpios, is your month of June. My dear Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings, what does June look like for you? Well, there is a lot of emphasis this month, folks, still on the area of partnerships and committed relationships for you, as well as on your home, family life, and living situation in general. So let us dig in. Throughout the entire month, Jupiter continues its transits through your fourth house of home and living situation, essentially making you probably feel drawn to spend more time at home, more time with family members, and possibly even traveling together with family members this month. Now, from the 2nd of June until the 27th, Venus moves into Cancer in your 8th house of other people's money, shared resources, and intimacy, essentially making you feel, let's call it, more open to receiving gifts and receiving financial support from others, as well as adding a little bit of spice or a little bit of sweetness, let's put it this way, to your intimate partnerships. And this is particularly emphasized between the 2nd and the 4th of June, when Venus in your 8th house is trining Jupiter and Pisces in your 4th house of home. This is also a time when you may feel, inclined to share what you've got with your family members and to give some of your bounty to your family as well. Now, in the first 8 days of the month, we also have Mars in Cancer in your 8th house, opposing Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house of income. Okay, so this one is a little bit trickier. Sagittarians, it does look like you have some sort of unexpected expense to take care of, very likely, and it's probably going to be quite costly between the 1st and the 8th of June. What I can tell you, though, is that this is an expense that you can't seem to be able to say no to, because if you do say no to it, then it may cause additional problems further down the line. I have to put it out there. Now, on the 10th of June, give or take a week before, a week after, you have a solar eclipse in your 7th house of marriage, partnerships, and long-term committed relationships. And this eclipse is squaring Neptune and Pisces in your 4th house of home, but also trining Saturn and Aquarius in your 3rd house. So what's happening at this time? I would also look at the week before, the week after. Sagittarians, this is marking an incredibly important milestone moment in your life when it comes to your committed relationships, contractual relationships, marriage. Some Sagittarians will get engaged. Some Sagittarians will have a new partner entering their lives. Some Sagittarians may form some very important business partnerships in their lives. And some Sagittarians, I gotta say, well, seem to be taking a decision connected to their living situation that takes into account their partner or whatever is going on in the lives of their partner, I would say. This can also be a time, Sagittarians, when you finally feel like you are on the same page and you know where you're headed relationship-wise. It is a time of commitment, relationship-wise. It is a time of taking your relationships to the next stage, to the next level, whatever the next level looks like for you. This is big. This is big. Please share whatever is going on in your lives in the area of partnerships, Sagittarians. Now, from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars goes into Leo in your 9th house of long distance travel, foreign lands, foreign countries, and higher education. So, a lot of Sagittarians throughout this entire period, so from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, may actually find themselves having to put a lot of time and energy into matters connected with immigration, travel, courts of law, or higher education. Mars also rules your 5th house of children. So if you have children, you might have to take care of matters connected to education for them. There's also a possibility that you may be feeling inspired at this time to throw yourself into the exploration of a new spiritual topic or a new higher education topic. Now, on the 14th of June, we have the second exact square for this year between Saturn and Aquarius in your 3rd house. By the way, the first exact square happened on the 17th of February, so it would be a good idea to look back. So Saturn and Aquarius on the 14th of June in your 3rd house is squaring Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house of day-to-day work as well as health. So Sagittarians, this is when it seems like communication with a coworker or with a team member is reaching a point where you feel inclined to drop it all and say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm done talking with you. You may feel like this is it for you. You might want to throw in the towel and say, I just can't work with you any longer. There is a possibility also that you may hear of a coworker who just doesn't want to collaborate with you any longer, or just does not want to follow the path that you have decided to take together as a team, even though it is the reasonable thing to do. So you may be feeling quite stressed in terms of communication when it comes to your day-to-day work around this time. This may also be a time when you once again meet. Let's use this word, meet. A challenge that you are consciously aware of on a physical level. Something that might have been nagging you for a little bit of time already. It could be something connected with your digestive system, with your throat. It could be something connected with your vocal cords, something connected with the neck. It could be, let's say stiffness, something that needs to be taken care of that you may not have paid that much attention to, and now it is brought to the surface once again. Now, from the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources. And between the 21st and the 25th, the sun is going to be trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 4th house of home. Okay, so this is beautiful. It looks like you are receiving some return on investment in terms of the time or the energy or the resources that you have been putting into your home. Maybe you're selling a home. Maybe you're looking into buying a home. You could be receiving, let's say, some sort of positive news connected to mortgage, connected to a lump sum of money that you've been waiting for that allows you to improve your living situation. You could be collecting maybe a return on investment at this time. The sun for you, my dear Sagittarians, also rules your 9th house of legal matters. So you could be maybe sealing the deal legally, maybe signing a contract, something connected with real estate, something connected with property. You're quite pleased with the way things have turned out at this time. And from the 22nd of June, Mercury goes direct in Gemini in your 7th house. Mercury has been in retrograde throughout this entire period in your 7th house up until this point in June. So there may have been still some kind of like misunderstandings, maybe some crossed wires with your partner in general. And there may have also been some crossed wires in any sort of consultancy relationship that you are involved in. So for instance, if you are working with like an attorney or an accountant, you may have found that they didn't reply to your message or that they misunderstood what you were telling them. So the fog is lifting from the 22nd of June onwards. And on the 24th of June, you have a full moon in Capricorn, triggering your 2nd house, 8th house axis, so the axis of money, in a great aspect with Jupiter in Pisces in your 4th house. So 3 days before, 3 days after the 24th of June, you could be receiving great news connected to your finances that allows you to channel extra money into your home. As I said, this once again could be connected with a commission, a bonus, a gift, a return on investment. You're finalizing some sort of financial matter connected to one of your properties or connected to your living situation. See how I'm referring to your properties, Sagittarius, as if you have more than just one. You might have more than just one. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus also joins Mars in Leo in your 9th house of long-distance travel, foreign lands and foreign countries, essentially making any additional travels that you have planned a lot more enjoyable. I highly recommend traveling abroad with Venus going through your 9th house. So once again, remember, from the 27th of June until the 21st of July. This is it. And that is Sagittarius. Now, my dear Capricorns, Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings, June. June is gonna be a month to remember. So what is going on? Well, let's talk about the big players. Throughout the entire month, Jupiter is transiting through your house of communication, siblings, and short distance travel, as well as the logical mind. With Jupiter in your corner this month, Capricorns, I gotta tell you, anything connected to sales, you selling something, you buying something, anything connected with promotion and marketing, communications in general, especially those initiated by you, oh my days, they are going so well. And I know Mercury is retrograde. I know Mercury is actually retrograde in your 6th house of day-to-day work, but I would strongly recommend, if you can, reaching out to old clients or connecting with old clients or connecting with old colleagues, because communications, especially with people who you have been in contact or in touch with, seem to be particularly fruitful, Capricorns. So if you find that something is not going the way you wanted it to go in terms of getting your idea across, or in terms of maybe pitching an idea, I would look back at your contacts that you've already worked with in the past or that you've collaborated with in the past, because the gold mine is in the past, especially until the 22nd of June this month, Capricorns. Now, From the 2nd of June until the 27th, Venus goes into Cancer in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships. So you've had Mars here, and you're going to continue to have Mars here until the 11th of June. But essentially, Venus goes into your house of marriage and partnerships, sweetening the deal. If you have been feeling like your partner has been more combative or impulsive or angry with you, and you thought, oh my days, when is this gonna end? What's going on? This is eating a lot of my energy. I gotta tell you, Venus is coming to the rescue, and it is literally saying, where there's fire, light up the flame. Enjoy some romantic times. And romantic times seems to be a big theme for you this month, especially until the 27th of June, Capricorns. Now, in the first 8 days of the month, Mars in Cancer in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships is going to oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 1st house. So I have to tell you, your ego and your partner's ego are very likely to clash. Now, you may also feel like your partner is literally opposing one of your initiatives, and it could be a business partner. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone who you are committed to, let's say, romantically. It could be a business partner, and it may feel like they are opposing you for no particular apparent reason, even though you're being rational and sensible and pragmatic as usual. I gotta say, something seems to be bothering your partner, and they are frustrated with something that they may not have yet brought to the surface, that they may not have yet brought to your attention. So it does help to be patient and to maybe kind of inquire a little bit further if you meet resistance. Now, on the 10th of June, we have, and I would also look at the week before, a week after, a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. It is trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 2nd house of income, and it is squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 3rd house of communication. So, Capricorns, many of you around this time can start off a very big and important and lucrative work-related project. So this could be a new job, for instance, but it could also be a new project in the environment where you are already finding yourself. The important thing is that you seem to have a new set of duties and responsibilities on your plate, I would say. The only thing that I would flag, and I want to bring this to your attention, Capricorns, is the fact that the eclipse is squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 3rd house, and the 3rd house is connected with communications, with messages, with understanding each other. So I would make sure to double, triple check the pitch, the job description, the project that you're saying yes to. It is very lucrative. It does seem to be playing to your natural talents and resources. It's going to be something that you're going to be working on for a very long time. I have to put it out there, which seems to be something that you're very proud of. But at the same time, you might miss something in the kind of comms, in the exchange. So I would inquire further, so to speak. Now, from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars is moving into Leo, finally out of your 7th house into your 8th house of intimacy. Now, Mars likes it in the 8th house. It has a natural affinity with the 8th house, essentially bringing spice to your sex life, and that's probably the best way in which you can use this transit. It can also stir up, let's call them, some of the parts of your psyche that you may not have necessarily made peace with, or that you may not necessarily embrace as much. Parts of yourself that you may not want to share with the rest of the world, parts of yourself that you may be in denial of, parts of yourself that you may consider to be quite taboo topics to discuss about. And Mars is saying, guess what? if you don't work on these, if you don't bring them to the surface, if you don't make peace with them, if you don't put the spotlight on them, then I'm gonna make you feel super uncomfortable. And it's also prime time, I gotta tell you, between the 11th of June and until the end of July for you to pay your taxes, Capricorn, or to essentially take care of any sort of outstanding debts. Not that you have any debts. I'm more thinking about taxes because you're on top of your finances most of the time. Now, on the 14th of June, we have the second exact square of the year between Saturn in Aquarius in your second house of income and Uranus in Taurus. Let's see where this is happening in your fifth house. So it looks like there's a little bit of a blockage financially. Maybe you don't have as much money at hand that you thought you would have around this time to spend it on activities that you were very keen to get involved in. So to spend it on fun type of activities. It could also be that you are kind of like holding yourself back from spending too much on things that bring you joy because you know there are some sort of impending expenses about to come at you. And I gotta tell you, you're probably not gonna be very happy about this. You're gonna be a little frustrated about it. You may also feel like it's time for you to innovate a little bit, and you may feel like you are having a bit of a blockage. Let's put it this way. In a creative environment. So if you're working on anything creative, you may feel like, oh, my days, why do I feel so boring and uninspired at this point in time? Because you probably need a little bit of fun in your life. That's why. Capricorns. FYI. Now, from the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your 7th house, also joining Venus there. And from the 21st until the 25th, the sun in Cancer in this part of your chart is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 3rd house. Capricorns. So if you're single, go out there and catch up with people because you're likely to, to encounter someone that is right up your street and someone who seems to be a fantastic conversation partner as well. If you are in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, I can tell you that this is a great time to take a short break, maybe a weekend away, maybe a spa day, do something fun together, something relaxing, something that allows you to disconnect from the world and really bond with a romantic partner. Now, from the 22nd of June, Mercury finally goes retrograde in Gemini in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So any sort of, miscommunication at work is finally over for you. It did take a little bit of time. And on the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon in Capricorn in your 1st house of identity, also triggering your 7th house of partnerships, in a great aspect with Jupiter and Pisces in your 3rd house. So you seem to be fully acknowledging the fact that you are ready to commit to a partner at this point. You may also feel like this is a perfect time for you to dedicate yourself more to an existing relationship because it does seem to be blossoming. It does seem to be going places, and you're pretty happy with where your partnership sector is at right now. And I know some of you may not be in a relationship, and this is a great time to go out on dates and to give someone a chance because someone is around you somewhere in the neighborhood, in your vicinity. You may have casually met them because the 3rd house is also connected with neighborhood and our kind of like immediate environment. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus moves into Leo in your 8th house of intimacy. So I like this. Why do I like it? Because Mars is also there. And when Venus and Mars come together, it's the divine feminine and the divine masculine, making for super romantic times. It's also a time when you may feel like you are much more open to receiving the gifts and the energy and the emotional support and nurturance of others in your life, and when you may feel much more inclined to kind of like surrender and enjoy intimacy with a romantic partner. It's also a really good time to reap the rewards from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, to reap the rewards on any sort of pre-existing investments, my dear Capricorns. My Aquarius brothers and sisters, so welcome to your June 2020 horoscope. And yes, of course, you are my siblings. I'm an Aquarius sun, not an Aquarius rising, but what does June look like for us? Well, I gotta say it. We are one of the lucky signs, let's say this month, because the energy of the eclipse is actually trining. It's harmoniously blending with our own air energy. So it's probably going to feel very invigorating, let's put it this way. But there's also a lot more happening this month, so let me get into it. Throughout the entire month, Jupiter, the great benefic, is going through our second house of income in Pisces. It is very likely bringing in new opportunities to make more money, opportunities to develop an existing talent, opportunities to study, to polish an existing talent. And we may feel like we really know what we're doing. And when our sense of self-worth increases, we value ourselves better, we make more money, we attract more wealth, more prosperity in our life, and more opportunities generally. So I'm really liking this. What can I say? If you see any Aquarians out there in June, other folks, just so you know, we're acting a little bit puffed up because we realize why we are special. You know. And now from the 2nd of June until the 27th of June, Venus moves into Cancer in your 6th house of day-to-day work, Aquarius brother or sister. What does that mean? Well, it looks like this month, at least until the 27th of June, you're also gonna like the work that you do quite a lot. And even though you are busy, let's face it, because you are busy, doing work that is enjoyable is always a plus, if you ask me. I don't know about you. This can also be a really good time to take care of your wellness and well-being, and even spend money connected to wellness-related activities. Whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you feel like you are getting back in touch with your senses is something that I would recommend you get involved in when Venus is going through this part of your chart. Now, let's see. Mercury, of course, Mercury is retrograde. It is still retrograde until the 22nd of June in your 5th house of creativity, of children, of romance. There was a meme on the internet saying Mercury retrograde brings all the exes to the yard. Well, that's gonna be very, very applicable for you, my dear Aquarians. Just so you know, they might contact you, message you, you might feel a certain urge to kind of like get back in touch with them. I don't know. If you ask me, I always say move forward, do not look back. But you know what your situation is better than anyone else. And I know better than to tell an Aquarius what to do, because they're probably going to do the exact opposite just because they can. So you have been warned, Aquarians. It's also very, very likely that until the 22nd of June, especially if you are involved in any sort of creative projects, that you may have to review, revisit, retouch, recap some of the kind of like deliverables. So don't get annoyed if that happens. Now, in the first 8 days of the month, we actually have a little bit of a tense energy between Mars in Cancer in your 6th house of day-to-day work and Pluto in Capricorn in your 12th house. It looks like you are tired, Aquarians. I know, you are enjoying the work that you're doing, but you are also tired. So my recommendation would be to take it easy and to save some time for yourself. And if anything goes south from a day-to-day work-related perspective, just so you know, sometimes the best thing that you can do is to step away and to kind of like let the chips fall wherever they may fall. This could also be a time where your sleep isn't exactly doing great. So there may be some sort of like bouts of insomnia. Whenever the 12th house is activated, people have a harder time resting. Just know that it's temporary. This too shall pass. Now, on the 10th of June, give or take a week before, week after, we have obviously the new moon solar eclipse happening in Gemini in your 5th house of love, romance, creativity, children. Trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 1st house of identity, and squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 2nd house of self-worth. What's happening here is the following, Aquarians. You are hitting a very, very, very important milestone moment in your life connected to children. So some Aquarians might find out that they're pregnant. No, do not ask me if that's me. Please don't. I don't want to see any comments like that. It's not me. I will just say it. Some Aquarians may reset their romantic life. Some Aquarians may actually realize that someone who was in their life and maybe they were friends with them, someone who was in their circle, actually has feelings for them, and they could start looking at this person as a new romantic partner. Some Aquarians may actually discover a new passion or hobby that they are very, very much willing to pursue, and that, by the way, it also looks like they feel called in some shape or form to integrate into their image, into their persona, into how they present themselves to the world. It's very exciting. It is very, very exciting. I love it. I know the energy of eclipses is volatile, so expect the unexpected, as they say. Such a cliche, but it's true. Eclipses do bring the unexpected. Now, from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars is going to move through Leo in your 7th house of marriage and long-term committed partnerships and contractual relationships. Now, your partner seems to be, receiving some sort of infusion of energy, and they seem to be in a rush to get things done, and you might be thinking, slow down, why so fast? And there could be a little bit of like butting heads when Mars is going through this part of your chart. There is also a possibility that your partner might be acting without consulting you throughout this period, just because they are in such a rush and they're so kind of like enthusiastic about what they want to do, and you might be feeling a little bit annoyed with them. So consider yourselves warned. Now, on the 14th of June, we have the second exact square of the year between Saturn in Aquarius in your 1st house of identity and Uranus in Taurus in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and the past. It looks like there could be themes that are repeating themselves from 17th of February this year. So look back at the 17th of February to see what was going on in your home life. You could be feeling a little bit trapped in your home at this point. You could also be feeling like there's something blocking you from fulfilling a home-related objective. There could also be some sort of sudden news that requires you to handle them for one of your parents. You don't seem very happy with it, but it's also part of your duty and responsibility. That's at least the way you seem to be looking at this situation. So what can I say? Take it easy, bide your time, plan properly, and get on with it. Now, from the 21st of June, the sun moves into Cancer in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health, and from the 21st until the 25th, the sun here in this part of your chart is trining Jupiter in Pisces in your 2nd house of income. So this could be a particularly lucrative period for you, Aquarians. You could be scoring new clients. You could be receiving applause for a job well done. You could be feeling very, very confident in the job that you're doing, and it may feel like you are growing from a professional perspective tremendously in a very, very short period of time. So this is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And as I said, from the 22nd of June, Mercury goes direct. in your 5th house of creativity, of love, of romance, and finally your mind's gonna start to move on to other places. It looks like you've got some outstanding fun to have. At least until Mercury goes out of retrograde. So you take care of that, Aquarius. And on the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, the full moon in Capricorn is happening in your 12th house. It is also triggering your 6th house, the axis of service, essentially, in a great aspect to Jupiter and Pisces in your 2nd house of income. So you are completing a work chapter at this point, or you are finally maybe finalizing some sort of work project that has been eating at you and not allowing you to sleep and not allowing you to rest properly. And you seem to be getting paid in full and probably also scoring some sort of long-term financial opportunity as a result of a job well done. This could also be a time when maybe a new member is added to your team at work. This could be a time when there are some kind of like changes happening in your daily routine and daily habits. If you have experienced any sort of health-related crisis, Aquarius, it is over. Finito around the 24th of June. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, Venus is joining Mars in Leo in your 7th house of marriage. Romance, and some more romance for you, Aquarius. Essentially, it's making you see your partner through kind of like a lens of attractiveness and charm. It's like all of a sudden you start looking at your partner and you're like, yeah, I like you a lot. Again, I know some of you might be single, so I gotta tell you, until the 21st of July, Venus and both Mars being in this part of your chart literally increase your chances of hooking up with partners that you have great chemistry with. So Venus and Mars going through your 7th house literally has spelled all over it. Fantastic chemistry. Enjoy June, Aquarius. Find your Pisces suns, and Pisces risings. Thank you for sticking around for so long. I know you jumped straight to your sign. I know you haven't watched everything, but hey, I feel compelled to say this all the time. What's happening in June for you? Well, Jupiter is essentially giving you protection. It is giving you good luck. It is giving you opportunities. It is making you feel like the world can, well, let's say adapt to whatever it is that you decide to do, whatever risk you're taking, whatever new direction you're taking in life. You are feeling buoyant and optimistic and positive and cheerful, and you should, because Jupiter truly has your back, and Jupiter supports us when we take leaps of faith, especially when it's going through our own sign. So go get it, Pisces. Whatever that risk that you have at the back of your mind is, this is the time to take it when Jupiter is in your corner. Now, Mercury is still retrograde. I will put it out there in Gemini in your 4th house of home, family, and living situation. And Mercury for you, my dear Pisces, rules both your 4th house as well as your 7th house. So it does look like there could be, let's say, all sorts of documents to fill in, all sorts of maybe let's say short trips to take with a partner connected to your home and living situation. You could be kind of like in touch and contact with family members back and forth to take care of a real estate or home related matter. If you were waiting to kind of like finalize something in your home environment or connected to your residence, there may have been delays. Don't fret, things will happen. Consider it a blessing in disguise that allows you to review any sort of paperwork in general. And let me put it out there. The internet might not be going that well for you, especially at home when Mercury is in retrograde in your 4th house of home. There could be disruption with gadgets. There could be something kind of like not going great in terms of, I don't know, the TV or any sort of device that is connected to the internet or that has, let's say, that works using airwaves. Am I making sense, Pisces? I know you know what I mean. I'm not the techie person in this house. I know. Newsflash. Now, From the 2nd of June until the 27th of June, Venus is going to move through Cancer in your 5th house of love, romance, children, and creativity. This is a particularly prolific period in terms of creativity for you, Pisces, and I know a lot of you out there are artists or work in creative industries. This is also a really, really good time to go out on dates if you're single, because there is a very high chance that you may find them enjoyable. It can also feel like a time when you give yourself permission to enjoy life more, to have fun, to unwind, to relax. And I have to say, in the first 8 days of the month, the Sun in Gemini in your 4th house of home is trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 12th house. You may be feeling inclined to enjoy yourself at home or with family members. Let's put it this way. And this might mean that some friends could take offense, or some friends could say, "Oh no, why aren't you catching up with us? Why don't you want to come out and party and play?" But you seem to be more inclined to kind of like connect with the family at this point. And on the 10th of June, you have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in your 4th house of home. This is a historic moment, Pisces. What's happening here? Well, you're not going to have eclipses triggering this part of your chart for another 9 years. So that's why it's a memorable moment in your life. Some Pisces might be moving into a new home. Some Pisces might be moving altogether, changing residences, moving to a different kind of like neighborhood, a different city altogether. Some Pisces may actually welcome a new member of the family into their midst. And by the looks of it, there is some sort of unexpected element here, some surprise, something that you may not have planned for, because this new moon is actually trining Saturn in Aquarius in your 12th house. So intuitively, you realize it's a great thing, but part of you, it's like, oh, I didn't plan for this. Oh, am I ready? Oh, what does this all mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It's a whole new beginning for you, home and family-wise, Pisces. Now, from the 11th of June until the 29th of July, Mars is going to move through Leo in your 6th house of day-to-day work, and you are going to start being super, super busy at work. You are going to feel energized. You're probably going to feel super energized to work out, to move your body. And I want to flag that when Mars is going through either the 1st house or the 6th house, there can be a tendency to rush into things and maybe hurt yourself physically. So if you are working out, if you're going back to the gym, if you're kind of like jumping on a new kind of like diet or regimen, pace yourself, because being in a rush is not going to serve anyone that much. Now, you can literally benefit of the increased stamina. You may feel like you've got more kind of like available energy to work out, to get things done, to clear things off of your plate. But you do not want to end up regretting having this extra energy. So slow down. Now, on the 14th of June, we have an exact square between Saturn and Aquarius in your 12th house of the shadow and of things hidden, and Uranus and Taurus in your 3rd house of communication and siblings. And this also happened on the 17th of February. So it could be a good idea to look back at what was going on in your life at the time. I want to flag that there could be some sort of unexpected, maybe like breakdown on the road. There could be an unexpected kind of obstacle in you maybe taking some sort of exam, or in you finalizing some sort of learning course. It could also be an unexpected piece of news connected to a sibling that literally takes you completely by surprise, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this information. So you let us know what this is about, Pisces. Now, from the 21st of June until the 25th of June, the Sun, who has just moved into Cancer in your 5th house of fun and entertainment and children, is going to be trining Jupiter and Pisces in your 1st house. So these 5 days, from the 21st until the 25th, I would say they are beautifully, beautifully aspected for you to maybe travel or go away with a romantic partner, or go out on dates, or do things that spark joy, do things that connect you with your authentic self, and truly be present and live in the current moment. It is a time for being in the spotlight, placing your attention and the emphasis onto you, and doing things that regenerate and recharge your batteries, because I think I read it in one of Stephen Forrest's books. The antidote to pain, and I might be paraphrasing, the antidote to pain is joy. So do things that bring joy into your life, because you're going to have the opportunity for this, and also because you may literally feel like your batteries are kind of like going up tremendously. From the 22nd of June, Mercury goes direct in Gemini in your fourth house, as I have mentioned. I think I have mentioned it. You'll forgive me, Pisces, if I have already. And on the 24th of June, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Capricorn in your 11th house of long-term plans as well as friends, in a great aspect to Jupiter in Pisces in your first house of identity. So this could be a time when you finally reconnect with friends, finally reconnect with your peer groups. It is a time to go out into the world. It is a time to surround yourself with your people, your tribe. You are going to feel privileged to have these people around you at this time. It can also feel like a time when a fantastic opportunity is coming to you from someone in your peer group, someone in the communities that you are a part of, something that speaks to you. Also career-wise, I have to say, because Jupiter is also the ruler of your 10th house of career. So if you do have the opportunity to go out and to kind of like connect with like-minded individuals at this time, maybe attend a conference, maybe literally go out and catch up with friends, I strongly recommend you do so, because a lot more could get out of it, could come out of it than you initially envisaged, Pisces. And from the 27th of June until the 21st of July, so 27th of June, 21st of July, Venus is going to move through Leo in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health, essentially making your work a lot more enjoyable, making you feel like you are using your talents and your skills, and you're playing to your strengths work-wise. It can also feel like you're being very persuasive in matters connected to work throughout this time, because Venus also rules your 3rd house of communication. So people may be feeling inclined to say yes to you a lot more, and you are feeling much more inclined to collaborate and much more inclined to work together with others in a team. It does seem to bring you satisfaction throughout this period. And if you are looking for new work, or if you are looking for new opportunities, really take advantage of Venus transits, I gotta say, because you seem to have the right words with you. So if you're looking for a job, or if you have to pitch something, use this period between the 27th of June and until the 21st of July. Also, this is a great time to take care of your physical body and of your health if you have any sort of, let's say, aesthetic reason. And I know that is vain, I know, but Venus is vain. Let's face it, we are all vain, and there is no reason to feel bad about it. So, I don't know. If you want to do something health-wise, some procedures, go to the kind of like beauty clinic, this is your time to do it, Pisces. FYI. I want to thank you all for joining me for your June horoscopes. Please let us know in the comments, especially on YouTube, how June is working out for you. As I may have mentioned before, I may not respond to all comments, but trust me, I read them, and I love hearing from you. Plus, I do think other people also read the comments as well, and it's always nice to see how the planetary placements play out in the 3D material reality. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? If you want to work with me and book a reading or a Zoom live consultation, you can visit my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. And if you also want to stay up to speed with some life updates on my end, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @Rux, so RUX, unbelievable, in one word. You heard that right. Rux Unbelievable. Enjoy June.